Today we're going to have Dr. Ameir Mukhtar. He's a general surgeon. He worked after the fall of Saddam for 2.5 years in formerly the biggest medical complex in the world. Now, after the war, it got ravaged, and it's maybe the 5th biggest medical complex in the world. So I present to you Dr. Ameir Mukhtar.
Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Well, first, thank you for giving me the opportunity to be among you. Show you some of what I have seen in Baghdad. Explain to you some of the facts as you see it by picture rather than just by words. And it might correct some of the false impression that some of the people get, and might highlight some of the worst weaknesses in the society and in the situation in Iraq. But it's good to be among you, and then I'll try to talk to you, show you things, but I'd appreciate if you want to stop me, and I'm happy to address any question during or after. Naturally, should I feel that the introduction is going to take too long, I may ask you humbly to let me continue, and I'll address it. Some of you have been to Iraq or have seen a lot about Iraq, come from Iraq, but just to give you a little idea about a background of the situation. Iraq, Mesopotamia. People believe that Adam landed in Baghdad, or in Iraq rather, and that he is buried in Najaf, in the south of Iraq, south of Baghdad. It's an ancient country, certainly ancient civilization, where the first written language, started writing the language, was in Babylon, where the numbers, the numerical 1 to 10, as we recognize it in the English literature, actually it is Arabic numericals, were discovered in Baghdad. And the 0, people used to count from 1 to 9, was in Iraq and in Baghdad specifically. Baghdad was built nearly 13 centuries ago, and soon after it was built, there were so many people coming to Iraq and to Baghdad from all over the world that time. And people spoke various languages, the Arab within Iraq, and then the Turk, the Persian, and so on. Iraq has been a mixture of societies or civilization for a long time. Persia and the Roman had some of their fights in Iraq itself. What kept Baghdad and Iraq going for thousands of years was water, and two important rivers, Tigris and Euphrates, where they meet down in the south, that is Shatt al-Arab, which was the source of conflict between Iraq and Iran before 1975, and it did bore the problem when Saddam invaded Iran in 1980. That's Shatt al-Arab, with about 30 million dead pounds used to be. Many of these were lost during the war, mainly with Iran. Right, Iraq in the middle of the old world, is not far away from the recent world, and we can see that the center of the world is shifting toward Iraq for some reason. Maybe because the oil reserve in Iraq, if it is not the biggest, as some people believe, it is the second or the third as a reserve, after Saudi Arabia and probably America, but it will last longer than the rest. Is that the reason why we have the conflict there? Could be. Surrounded by Iran, to the east, Syria, and you all hear about the excess of evil. I try to avoid politics, but just little mention is important. That is the spiral minaret. You can see the car, just a small 4-wheel drive. Can you see that? Can you see how small it is in comparison to this minaret? this minaret was built about 1,000 years ago. And that mosque, actually, that's the Grand Mosque in Samarra, takes over 1,000 people from those days. Al-Qadimiyah with the domes and minaret covered with gold, with German gold. Mustansiriya School, one of the first university, so to speak, that was active and alive again about 1,000 years ago. Now, I entered Iraq on the 14th of July 2003, shortly after the war. And you can imagine, 14th of July is the Bastille Day. When I went there, first time after 27 years absence from Iraq, I saw this one, which says, Republic of Iraq, welcome you. And says there, Marhaban bikum fil Iraq al-Hur, welcome to the free Iraq. Immediately I thought, who put that? Was it Saddam Hussein, who claimed Iraq was free, but he enslaved the Iraqi people? Or is it done by the so-called liberator in the days of American who occupy Iraq? And immediately the first person I saw in Iraq after all these 27 years was an American soldier occupying Iraq. Iraq has got a lot of resources. Again, this will reflect on what we're going to go through. Dates, very nourishing, has got protein, carbohydrate, no sure about fat, and many vitamins, and some medicine being taken from it. What are the problems? Immediately in July 2003, I identified clearly few problems that face Iraq in general, but the health service in particular. Anyone does not have a health or medical background? All of you. What are the problems? Security. Is it important? Of course it is. Can you come to the hospital? Can you come to the university? Can the patient arrive to the hospital in time when he's shot or when he is ill? And can the doctors in a complex like the medical city, can they travel between one building to another? It's only 300-400 yards. But if it is dangerous and somebody, a sniper, can kill you, can you walk freely? Young doctor, so many of them are female, they're only in their early 20s or even late teens. Medical student within the complex, so security was a major issue. Electricity, the heat in Iraq and Baghdad in particular reaches 50 degrees centigrade in the summer and -5 in the winter. When I was in Iraq, young kid, I remember a lot of icing and frost. When I went back to Iraq, I saw it on less occasions, and I did capture it on camera. So it is very cold and very hot, but electricity not good. Street lights, very dark. Telephone and communication hardly exists. I'm talking now after the war, right? Water, frequently no water. Medical city, you'll see the building, 22 stories. We went, I stayed at the 7th story for some time, and there was no water at all reaching there, even if it reached there downstairs, but it needs to go up. And to push it up, you need good pipes. These pipes were old, friable, they burst. How many burst pipes I had in the street within the medical city? Several times. Fuel, Iraq, the country of oil. Does it have a fuel? There is a fuel. Some of it imported from Iran, Turkey, Kuwait, and always shortage of it. Unemployment, extremely high. Do we have medicine in Iraq? Again, not a lot of medicine. Many of the acute illnesses, we didn't have enough medicine. The chronic ones, for a long time, were non-existing. And the cancer treatment, and you know that cancer treatment frequently, like leukemia, for example, especially